Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Yadati Swapadantikam Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prasharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desatarini Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. Namaste. So welcome you all once again, and today we'll continue our discussion on chapter 8. In the last week, on a Monday, we discussed about this material world where Krishna speaks about the days of Brahma, duration of Brahma, and how it got manifested, how it got unmanifested. Is by Prabhupada gives the all description of all there. We'll just try to catch it again a bit, and then we'll move on. Right. So, till this verse, where Krishna says that at the beginning of Brahma's days, all living entities become manifest from the unmanifested state, and thereafter, when the night falls, they are merged into unmanifested again. So, when days comes, they get manifested, and when night comes of Lord Brahma, it gets unmanifested. However, the days of Brahma is quite hard. It's thousands Dibya Yuga of one day of Brahma, and the same duration goes for one night of Brahma. And in this way, Lord Brahma lives for 100 years. That's 311.04 trillion years Lord Brahma lives. And Prabhupada makes this calculation in a couple of previous verses here as well, right? And yeah, so let's continue. So that's basically a description about material world. And now from text 20 onwards, Krishna is going to speak about the spiritual world, how it is. So this material world is temporary. It goes back into Brahma's life. Also, we've seen about 4 kind of prālaya that's given in Srimad Bhagavatam, like, the occasional, elemental, and the naimittika prālaya, prakritika prālaya, and atyantika prālaya, and nitya prālaya, which is ultimate prālaya, constant prālaya, and occasional and elemental prālaya. So one prālaya happens in the ones when Lord Brahma's day ends, and one prālaya happens when Lord Brahma's life finishes, 100 years finishes. And one prālaya is the liberation when with this living entity goes back to the spiritual world. And then one prālaya happens every time, every second. This is called as nitya prālaya. Right. So let's see 20, where Krishna speaks about this the world which is actually, it never goes through the cycle of manifest and unmanifest, which always remain manifested. Right. Text 20, chapter 8. Parastasmatu bhavo nyoj avyakto avyaktat sanatanaha yaha sa sarveshu bhuteshu nastyashu na vinashyati. Yet there is another unmanifested nature, which is eternal and is transcendental to this manifested and unmanifested matter. It is supreme and is never annihilated. When all in this world is annihilated, that part remains as it is. So Krishna says that there is another world which is in unmanifest nature, right, which is eternal and transcendental. So when he says unmanifest nature, it means what? Actually, it means that we living entity, this is unmanifested to us. We can't see this by our material eyes. That's why we can't see it by our eyes. That's why we call it unmanifested. However, it's already there, always there, the spiritual world. And how it is? The nature of that is eternal and is transcendental to this manifest and unmanifested matter. So this material world where we live it gets manifested and unmanifested. So it, when Lord Brahma's day comes, it goes back again, and then comes back, and when Lord Brahma's year finishes 100 years, it goes back to Mahavishnu's body as well. So, but nothing happens like that in the another world, right? And that is supreme and is never annihilated. That's never get destroyed. So even when all this world is annihilated, that part remains at ease. So material world get annihilated, but when Lord Mahavishnu takes inhales, all the universe goes back into Mahavishnu's body. But that time, the spiritual world, it remains there eternally, right? So previously, till from 17, 18, 19, 3 verses, Krishna explains about this material world, that is Krishna's energy, that is excellent energy or inferior energy. And this energy, what Krishna is speaking about, the spiritual world, it actually superior or spiritual energy. So Krishna's superior or spiritual energy is transcendental and eternal. It is beyond all the changes of material nature, which is manifest and annihilated during the days and night of Brahma. So Krishna's superior energy is completely opposite in quality to the material nature, and superior and inferior nature are explained in 7 chapters. So we have seen about these 2 natures of where Krishna explains about this Panchama, Bhut, Man, Buddhi, Ahankar, and Jiva. Krishna says Jiva is actually superior energy, the living entity, and these others are inferior energy, right? So, and Krishna explains more about that word again in 21st verse as well. Avyakto kṣara iti uktas tam āhuḥ paramāṁ gatim yam prāpya na nivartante dhāma paramam. So Krishna says more about here. So here, if you remember earlier, Krishna has spoken when that, if you remember, as you wish, you go to the planets of the devatas. However, if you remember me, you come to my planet at the time of death. So in the similar way, Krishna is again telling here that in this part that anyone who comes there, he never comes back again into this material world, right? So they say that which the Vedāntists describe as unmanifested and infallible, that which is known as the supreme destination, that place from which, having attained it, one never returns, that is my supreme abode. So we discussed earlier about this unmanifest. Why Krishna says unmanifest? It's unmanifest because to our material eyes, to our eyes, right? We can't see it, the spiritual world. However, that is infallible, which is akṣara. So this material world is kṣara, it deteriorates, it goes into body of Mahavishnu, but that spiritual world, it never goes like that. It's always remain infallible, right? It never deteriorates, right? And he's saying that this is paramam gatim, that is the actual supreme destination. And anyone who reached there, anyone who goes there, having attained it, one never returns, that is my supreme abode. So from one who achieves the supreme spiritual world, he never comes back into this material world again. So even if this topic is elaborate explained in this chapter earlier as well, that anyone who comes to my abode, they never come back. Even the Krishna has told this in chapter 4 as well, that anyone who comes to my abode, he never comes back. However, we also discussed earlier that Abrahma Bhuvana Loka. So Punavartin Arjuna, even from planet of Lord Brahma till all the planets, there is a rebirth is there. But when we go to Krishna's dhāma, tad dhāma paramam, there is no coming back, right? No nivartante. So there is no coming back again when we reach this Krishna's dhāma. Krishna says mama, that dhāma, Krishna's dhāma, right? Tad dhāma paramam mama. That dhāma is what? Supreme abode, which is of mine. That's what Krishna says here. So Prabhupada says that the supreme abode, this is very nice part actually. I wanted to read it because this gives a description about the spiritual world, how it looks like. And when we know something about some spiritual world, actually we get eager to go there. If you remember, in our earlier days when we are in colleges, right? So we used to hear about, okay, when we do our engineering, we'll we might get a chance to go to abroad, and their lifestyle is something different, like that. So we have a vision, okay, let's go there, work hard, study hard, and somehow other get in a company who can extend us toward this board, right? That's a material example. However, so when we know more about spiritual planet, spiritual world, then we get more eagerness to go there, right? So even Srimad Bhagavatam explains more about that in chapter, Canto 3, chapter 15. But here, let's give it a small. Prabhupada mentions very nicely. So let's say this whole purport. It's not too long, but let's see. The supreme abode of the personality of Godhead Krishna is described in the Brahma Samhita as Chintamani Dhāma. So where a place where all the desires are fulfilled. The supreme abode of Lord Krishna, known as Golok Vrindavana, is full of palaces made of touchstone. Right? There are also trees called desire trees. So desire tree, if we have the trees, the mango tree is going to give us mango only. Rose tree is going to give us rose only. But there the trees are called as Chintamani, or desire tree, Kalpavriksha. So Kalpavriksha, where whatever you desire from the tree, you'll get it. Right? So even mango tree can give whatever you wanted. So these all trees are called desire trees that supply any type of eatable upon demand. And there are cows called as Surabhi cows, right? We supply a limitless supply of milk. So there are Surabhi cows in the spiritual world. There is, Kalpavriksha in the spiritual world. And in this abode, the Lord is served by hundreds and thousands of goddesses of fortune. And he is called Govinda, the premier Lord and the cause of all causes. So the Lord is accustomed to blow his flute, Venum Kavanantam, Arvinda Dalaktaksham, that's verse in Brahma Samhita. So his transcendental form is the most attractive in all the worlds. His eyes are like lotus petals, and the color of his body is like color of clouds. He is so attractive that his beauty exhales the thousands of cupids, and even attracts the cupids as well. Right? He wears saffron cloth, a garland around his neck, and a peacock feather in his hair. In the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna gives only a small hint of his personal abode, Golok Vrindavana, which is the supermost planet in the spiritual kingdom. A vivid description is given in Brahma Samhita, and Vedic literature's Kathopanishad 1.3.11 state that there is nothing superior to the abode of Supreme Godhead, and that abode is the ultimate destination. Purushan na param kinchit sa kṣara paramāgati. When one attains to it, he never returns to this material world. So Krishna's supreme abode and Krishna himself are non-different, being of the same quality. On the earth, Vrindavan, 90 miles southeast of Delhi, is a replica of that supreme Golok Vrindavan, located in the spiritual sky. And when Krishna descended on this earth, he sported on that particular tract of land known as Vrindavana, comprising about 168 square miles in the district of Mathura, India. So that's a very small but very nicely giving a description of the spiritual world. Even we are discussing Bhagavatam, where it sees that how they have their own, the people, they have their own planes, Vaikuntha Vimana. They can go from here and there, without restriction over there. So, and we see there are Kalpavriksha, and the cows, Surabhi cows, they can give unlimited amounts of milk. And Kalpavriksha can fulfill all our desires, whatever we want, eatable fruits we can get from there. And there are so many birds and trees and kind of things are there. I mean, whatever we see here, are there, but they are spiritual, self-illuminated. We need sunlight, moonlight, but there is no need of sunlight and moonlight. It's Chintamani. So even the lands or the soils, they are still self-illuminated in the spiritual world. Okay, so that's how Krishna says that's the destination of the real yogis. That's paramāṁ gatim. That's the real destination we should be seeking towards. And when we go there, what happened? We never get again. So yam prāpya. So when we get it, na nivartante, we do not come back again. By getting what? That dhāma, tad dhāma paramāṁ. So Krishna's abode, by getting that Krishna's abode, we do not come back again to this material world, right? So that's it. We should be hankering towards going to this spiritual world, toward this Krishna's eternal world, which is infallible, eternal, and full of blissful, right? And Prabhupada, see, Krishna has just given a small hint about this spiritual world, saying that it's infallible, and anyone who goes there doesn't come back here. However, Prabhupada mentions from different scriptures like Brahma Samhita and Kathopanishad, quoting that how that spiritual world is. And more importantly, we can actually relish that the point, the essence of Golok Vrindavan by going to Vrindavana, which is just in Mathura, in district, right? So with that faith, when we visit Vrindavana, actually we can see I was hearing a long time back a lecture, and there a devotee was explaining that one devotee, one pravakta of Bhagavatam, he was explaining about the glories of Vrindavan, and he was describing about Krishna's and Balaram, how these two boys, when they come from their home, they were completely full of jewels and ornaments, completely were there, and they are quite young, and just 6-7 years, and they used to roam around freely in the Vrindavan and play with the cowherd boys. And there came two thieves. So the thieves, they came with the intention to rob something, right? However, when they started hearing about these two boys, like one is black and one is white, and they wear so many ornaments kind of thing, and they are still a small child. So these thieves, they sat down there and started hearing more about these two personalities they had no idea about who these two people are. However, they started hearing more and more about this. And then when the discussion finished, these two boys, they actually waited till last, and then when this sadhu who was giving lecture, he started going away, and then they followed him. And then he stopped. He said, "What do you want from me? Why are you following me?" Then these two thieves, they asked that where could we find these two boys whom you are describing about? These two people, they used to have jewels, and they used to come out from their house, and then this this sadhu says they were in Vrindavan. And these two thieves, they thought, okay, we used to thief some steal some small items, so let's go and rob this two child, right? And we'll have so much thing, right? Now, so much ornaments, gold, and all things, jewels, so we don't have to go and steal the small things. So they both went to Vrindavan, and as per the description they heard properly, right? And they were waiting. They actually climb on a tree, and then they were waiting to see when these two boys are coming, right? And they waited so impatiently to see this Lord Krishna and Balaram, though intention was to rob them, but however, right, they are so intensified to see Lord Krishna and Balaram, actually they could see two boys coming over there. And then they stopped them, and then Krishna said, okay, take everything, right? So the point is, the faith which we had toward Krishna is more important, right? The faith which we have see from Bhagavad Gita, that's more important. The devotion is more important, right? And then it's being described that later on, they actually went back to this sadhu, and they said, okay, actually we have this plan, and we have robbed these two boys. And there's the Brahmana was actually, he started crying. Oh my goodness. Actually, I was just speaking about Krishna and Balaram, and you two had seen him personally, right? So that's the point about even I was hearing a lecture from Radhesham Prabhu a couple of days back. He was giving another example, nice example about this devotion, right? And he says in the same point, he says there was one of the devotee of Lord Ganesha. He was a pakka devotee of Lord Ganesha, and then he had altar in the altar. He had a Krishna deity as well, and he brought Ganesha deity over there, and it was a festival of Ganesh Chaturthi, and he bought so much of modak, because modak is very dear to Lord Ganesha. So he cooked modak, and then he was about to offer him, right? And then he started ringing the bell, and then incense. So he thought that Krishna is here. So if I offer the incense, then the smell which I am trying to offer to Lord Ganesha will actually go to Krishna as well. And the modak which I am trying to offer to Lord Ganesha, Krishna also can eat it. So what he did is he just get some cotton, and he got some cotton, and then in the statue of Lord Krishna, he actually put the cotton on the nose, and he put down some cloth on his eyes, so that Krishna can't see the modak, and he can't smell the fragrance of incense as well. So only Lord Ganesha could actually smell fragrance, and he could only eat this. So by this, Krishna becomes so pleased, and he says, wow, you are actually thinking me as Krishna himself personally is there, not this idol, not the deity, not the stone, right? That's the essence of devotion. When we think that here it's not just an statue, it's Krishna himself. In that way, in that mood, when we worship Krishna, we can actually see Krishna, right? So that's what Krishna is saying here, that my dhāma is like that. It's all chintamani, right? It's all, they have stored kalpavriksha, and that's what Prabhupada says, it is a chintamani dhāma, right? So that's spiritual world. So anyone who goes there, they never come back. And now Krishna says that how to achieve, how to go there, right? Isn't it? So when you know that you want to go to US by studying, UK by studying, then we know that, okay, if I get into these companies, then we will be able to travel towards on-site, and then we go there, right? So we hanker for those companies and get our on-site visa sanctioned. In the similar way, now Krishna has spoken about this point, about spiritual world, and then how to go it. Krishna says in text 22. Let's see. Purusaha sa para partha bhaktya labhastu ananya yashanta sthani bhutani yena sarvam idam tatam. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is greater than all, is attainable by unalloyed devotion. Although he is present in his abode, he is all pervading, and everything is situated within him. So very, very, very important verse. How to get is bhaktya labhastu ananya. Ananya means unalloyed. By unalloyed devotion, we can actually get it, right? So how to get this? By unalloyed devotion. Bhagavatam says that Sve pumsham paro dharmo yato bhakti adoksaje ahetuki apratihata yajatma suprasiddhati. Ahetuki, without unmotivated and uninterrupted devotion, we can actually get Krishna. So Krishna says this very clearly here, that this is attainable by unalloyed devotion. So Krishna focusing more on the part of devotion. By devotion, actually, we can attain it. And Krishna, he is present in his own abode, as well as he is present everywhere. He's all pervading. And not only that, everything is situated within him. So very, very important thing here, this line says, Krishna is present in his own abode. He is also all pervading. It means he is also present in everything. And at the same time, everything is present within him, right? So three things. Krishna is present in his own abode. And what? Then Krishna is all pervading, and everything is within Krishna. So Krishna is in his Sam Sundara form. He is there in Golavrindavan, and he is present everywhere. How? As Paramatma. He is all pervading. He enters in each atoms, each living entities, right? So Krishna is within me, within you, within animals, everywhere Krishna is there. At the same time, everything is in Krishna. How it is? We have seen yesterday, on a Monday, that on Monday, we've seen how Lord Mahavishnu, from Mahavishnu, this universe comes, right? So from Mahavishnu, everything comes, and at the end, everything, this material world goes back into the body of Mahavishnu. So it's somehow or other, he himself expands and enters, but still everything is within him. Right? In that way, Krishna is all pervading. At the same time, everything is within him as well. So Krishna is there. Also, everything is within Krishna. So we can take an example to understand this point. Many times devotee quote these examples to make it more clear. Let's, for example, a CEO of a company, right? Let's, for example, Bill Gates, Microsoft, right? So when we see a building of Microsoft, we actually think of Bill Gates, because we know that the owner of Microsoft is Bill Gates. So Bill Gates is not personally present in each his offices, but still he is present, isn't it? Because through his energy, because the brand name is associated with him. In a similar way, this energy, metal energy and spiritual energy, both are energy of Krishna. Krishna is present through that everywhere as an expansion as Paramatma as well. And another example is devotees to give, like an architect of a building. So he might not be placing each stone to make the wall, like each bricks to create the wall, but he knows each corner, nook and corner of each is the plan of the building very well, because he's the architect. He knows, he has created everything in a diagram. Though he might not be creating everything by his own hand, through people it got created, but he is there. He knows everything in and out. So where is the kitchen, where is the bathroom, and where is this, a meeting area, and where the people will sit down, everything he knows very well. Right? In the similar way, Krishna knows everything through his energy. And Krishna is aloof. At the same time, everything is present within Krishna as well. Right? So that's what this verse says. So let's read Prabhupada's purport. So it is here clearly stated that the supreme destination from which there is no return is the abode of Krishna, the Supreme Person. And the Brahma Samhita describes the supreme abode as Ananda Chinmaya Rasa. So a place where everything is full of spiritual bliss. All the variegatednesses manifest there is of the quality of spiritual bliss. Nothing there is material. Nothing is material. Right? And that variegatedness is expanded at the spiritual expansion of the Supreme Lord himself. For the manifestation, there is totally of the spiritual energy, I explained in chapter 7. As far as this material world is concerned, although the Lord is always in his supreme abode, he is nonetheless all pervading by his material energy. So by his spiritual and material energies, he is present everywhere, both in the material as well as in spiritual universes. And Prabhupada makes a couple of more interesting points in this verse. It's a long one, and I'll go one of those. Here, if you see here in this paragraph where Krishna says, so here Prabhupada actually mentioning about Krishna's different forms. So Krishna different expansion for different pastimes, like Purushottama, Trivikrama, Keshava, Madhava, Aniruddha, Rishikesha, and others, right? And these are Krishna's plenary expansion. So the Brahma Samhita 5.37 also confirms that although the Lord is always in the supreme abode, Golok Vrindavan, he is all pervading, so that everything is going so nicely. Golok eva nivasti akhilatma bhuta. As stated in Vedas Shvetaswatara Upanishad 6.8, Parasya Shaktir Vividheva Shriyate Swabhaviki Jnana Bala Kriyacha. His energies are so expansive that they systematically conduct everything in the cosmic manifestation without a flaw, although Supreme Lord is far, far away. So Krishna is away, but his energy is working very nicely, that there is no flaw in this manifestation. Just imagine the movement of sun, right? It's all perfect. The movements of all the planets in orbit is all perfect, right? So that's how Krishna's energy is working in very, very perfect way. Right. So that's how the point is this spiritual world, and how to go there by unalloyed devotion with the mood to serve Krishna. We can actually attain that. Right. So the next, what the time is 38. So because next topic goes more into next section. Okay, let us do a couple of verses. Okay, let's go one more, because this starts another section from here. So text 23. Yatra kale tu anavrittim avrittim chaiva yogina prayatayanti tam kalam vakshami bharata shabha. So Krishna says that, O best of Bharatas, I shall now explain to you the different times at which passing away from this world the yogis does or does not come back. So Krishna explained earlier that, when we come back to my abode, then there's no coming back. And from here, from a couple of verses, Krishna is going to explain more about the process by which, by the time when we give up our body, because this whole chapter is, if you remember, the whole chapter is actually more focused on death, giving up our metal body and attaining spiritual world, or attaining heavenly planet, or hellish planets, depending on our consciousness, depending on our activities, depending upon our remembrance of the time of death. So Krishna here explains about this specific times when we give up this body, then we come back again in this world, and there is some specific time where we give up our body, we do not come back as well. So, right. However, Prabhupada mentioned very clearly that the devotees of Lord, they do not bother about these times, and to be very honest, it's actually very difficult to plan out death depending upon these times, right? Vishwapatama, he was an alert devotee of Lord. He could plan. He has got the bone that, okay, I'll give up my life at the time of Uttarayan or others, but it's not possible for everyone to think of, okay, I'll give my life in this time, right? Maybe doctor can give us, okay, the person has some couple of weeks or days, but that might not be coming in the Uttarayan or Dakshinayan. It can be any time. We can't plan it. So, but Prabhupada says that the devotee don't bother about these things. And actually, Krishna clears this as well in 27th verse. Krishna clears the devotee don't have to bother this, right? So Prabhupada starts this purport by saying that the unalloyed devotees of the Supreme Lord, who are totally surrendered soul, do not care when they leave their bodies or by what method. Right? They leave everything in Krishna's hand and so easily and happily return to Godhead. So, right. So, I mean, the point Prabhupada is trying to mention that if we take up this Krishna consciousness, chant the holy name of Lord, take shelter of the Lord, then we don't have to bother about these different points about, okay, where Krishna says that I'll explain to you the different times at which passing away from this world, the yogi does not come and does not come back. So this is especially spoken verse for the Gyanis, right? Gyanis and yogis, but not for the bhaktas. That Prabhupada mentioned here that here. But those who are not unalloyed devotees and who depend instead on the such methods of spiritualization like karma yoga, jnana yoga, and hatha yoga, they must leave the body at a suitable time in order to be sure of whether or not they will return to this world of birth and death, right? So the devotees, they don't care about this. I mean, don't bother about this, but the Gyanis, Karmis, and Hatha Yogis, they take care of this very well. The yogis, actually, they meditate on this time. When Uttarayana comes, they think that, okay, let me give my this body and go to the spiritual world and to us, right? And Prabhupada mentioned that if the yogi is perfect, he can select the time and situation for living the material world. But if he is not so expert, his success depends on his accidentally passing away at certain suitable time. So that suitable time at which one passes away does not come back are explained by the Lord in the next verses. Like, text 24 speaks about the yogis and jnanis, and text 25 speaks about the karmis, and text 26 even 26 goes away as well, and 27 speaks about this yogi, the bhaktas. So I think we will take this in our next session, where we start from 24, 25, 26, and for the bhaktas, right? So yogis, karmis, jnani, and bhakta, how they go define the destination, right? Anyone have any questions or thoughts or doubts or any comments we can discuss? Okay, so if not, then we can stop here, and tomorrow, on Monday, we'll try to conclude this chapter. So, as you know, we will be singing the bhajan again today after this session. Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Vrinda ki
Jai.
Hare Krishna. So let me share my screen.